Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are we getting on? Welcome to a brand new camp build. So today I thought we'd break out one of the older prefabs, specifically the WIldwood Den, and have a play around with this. Really like this prefab as it's kind of nice and cozy, but keeps that post-apocalyptic vibe pretty well, and is, yeah, you'd be considering yourself quite lucky if you wound up living in this, in the Fallout Wasteland. So yeah, it's fun to have a build with this one, and I've added a few extra bits around as well. Pretty cool crafting space to make it a decent practical player home and sort of functional camp as well. So, on that note, let's jump in and have a look at where we are on the map. One of my favourite spots. Okay, down here in the Cranberry Bog. Yes, it's been a while since I built over here, but I do like this spot. It's nice and flat, it's off the beaten path, not many people build here. And, you know, it makes a change. A lot of builds will blend into the environment here quite nicely as well. We're near a few fairly major areas, which is far enough north that it doesn't tend to get nuked. And, yeah, it's a pretty decent spot. Let's have a look around. So, first up, I decided to wall this place off. I've gone for the Wavy Willards wall set, which, should say, by the way, a lot of the stuff in this build I haven't actually seen on the Atomic Shop in a while, so it might be worth keeping an eye out if you spot anything you like, because it's probably overdue a return. But we've got this set. There's also the red brick set of walls, which I use occasionally, but I haven't really used the Wavy Willards set in a while, so I thought it'd be fun to do that. It is a bit on the plain side, though, so I've dressed it up, added a little bit of extra detail. Obviously, once you start dropping things down, the grass bulldozers, so put a few brambles in to kind of pull the environment back towards the wall a little bit. Whole load of extra bits and pieces of texture and stuff. The walls are a bit strange to me. They're not the tallest thing around, but they feel kind of more imposing in some ways than using junk fences. They're kind of a bit more enclosing in some ways. I don't know, I think it's probably mostly psychological, but yeah, they're not quite as organic feeling as the junk fence options. But I don't use them very often, so it's kind of fun to make a change. Yeah, I added a few extra bits and pieces of decoration around the outside, just to kind of texture them up, because they are pretty, you know, singular in their appearance. So added a little bit of colour and a little bit of variety. A little bit more dragged stuff back vibe of the post-apocalypse. And I kind of like the effect, it gives it a nice kind of texture. Would have liked to have made it maybe a bit deeper, but we're at 3/4 of the way through the build budget here anyway, so there's only so much I could really do on that. And, of course, if you can stand on the inside and fire at things that are attacking you, you really want to be able to shoot down as close to the wall as possible and not give anybody cover, so flat is kind of practical, if not necessarily the most attractive, but I think adding a few extra bits has definitely made the thing a bit more interesting. Got a few turrets on the top there. Yeah, all in all, I do quite like this. It's been pretty effective at keeping the bad guys out. Useful pro tip, you may notice there's some quite big steps down in the wall here, because particularly in this corner, there is quite a big dip in the ground, which I actually took advantage of inside, and we'll have a look at that in a bit. But in order to get these walls in, when you snap them together, which you really do have to do, because they kind of clip into each other, snap through each other, you can kind of see it there on the left. Really cool hidden door, just for the why nots, because it's there. Yeah, a really useful tip is to make sure that you place all of the walls in, snap them into place, then take the walls off either side of whichever piece is floating the most, and switch over to the non-snapping mode, because it should just drop the wall straight down to the ground. And you can manually sink it in a bit further if you want to, but you'd be a bit careful that it doesn't sort of move on the horizontal plane, otherwise things don't line up very well. But you should then, maybe you'll have to use a flamethrower trap to get things to snap back in a little bit. Occasionally I did, but on the whole, it does allow you to accommodate for dips in the ground. But here we go, quite a colourful, nice little interior, this, I think. Got a nice little homely space, decent crafting area, some fun bits and pieces, all the essentials. And yeah, it's got a nice splash of colour. The Cranberry Bog adds a bit of its own in the reds and the yellows, and then we've gone for some fairly colourful decorations as well. But we're mixed in with some plain wood stuff to kind of give it that right improvised vibe. So I've got the toilet and the shower on the left there, and a little guard post up here that I've put together just using a foundation. It tucks quite nicely into the corner there. I thought about using one of the sort of frames that come with the stairs and stuff, but they don't sink low enough down really for the walls, so just stick over the top. And I kind of wanted the walls to be about waist high for that little bit of extra cover for the guard, or myself when I stand up here and cover the place. Incidentally, this corner out here is the main area that the base gets attacked from. It does occasionally come from other directions, but it's usually on this side, so it's really where you need the guard post. Got some turrets in on each corner. One of the fun things is you can just sort of place them on and they'll sink into that post a little bit. For some reason, the collision box just follows the top edge of the sort of flat wall there, and the posts on the corners, or on the end of each section rather, are not solid, so hence why the turret sinks in. But I think it looks alright, so that works quite nicely. It does come a bit of an issue if you want to put lights on it, though. But yeah, all in all, that gives a nice bit of cover out here. One thing I have noticed is that this place does get attacked occasionally. There are a few enemy spawns around, but I have particularly noticed that since I put turrets on, they tend to spawn a bit more often. It's a big theory of mine that turrets make your base get attacked more often, whereas if you don't have them, they seem to get attacked less. Anecdotal evidence only, but still, seems to be the case. So I did use the circus vendor there, because I've just not used it, and it's a bit colourful and fun, and there's a decent bit of colour around anyway, so it goes in okay. For these foundations down at the bottom here, most of them I had to use the flamethrower trap on the walls so that I could extend the foundation outside the wall and down to where the ground's a bit lower, so I could sink them down as low as possible, which obviously got two separate sets of foundations effectively here, done in two different sort of points. Put the first set in and then came back, put that one that the vendor's on in later. But sinking it down just keeps it as flush with the ground as possible, which is mostly level, to be fair, in this corner. But once you start putting furniture down, you start to see the little idiosyncrasies, and it doesn't look quite as neat and tidy as I wanted it to. In its scrappiness, anyway. And yeah, all in all, I'm quite happy with how it came out. Got a bunch of little bits and pieces of necessities around the outside. Put some crops and stuff down here just to fill an otherwise empty gap. And adds a little bit of extra dressing to the structures, which I quite like. Got our brewing and stuff down here. We've got a chem station on the right as well. All sectioned off into one area here. Plenty of room to get in there, and it creates kind of nice closed vibe and avoids that whole just following the outside wall thing. Having different sections like this makes it a bit more three-dimensional. I like doing that. Here's our power armor station and our weapons and armor stuff in the corner here. Gone for the forge bench, which was added a couple of weeks ago. Really quite like this one. Really happy to start seeing new benches and new designs and skins for different workbenches other than just the same old ones that kept getting new skins like the cooking station. So wanted to make use of that. Really, really pleased for that. Hopefully we're getting some cool stuff for other benches on down the line. That is my root cellar shelter, incidentally, down there, which I put in mostly because it's just handy to have a shelter in camps in general. But if you want to check it out, there's a separate video on that one, so I will try and remember to link it around, but have a little hunt, a little search should bring it up. Quite happy with that one. It's kind of a superheroes hidden layer vibe I went for down there. Or wannabe superhero is probably a better word. So here is our WIldwood Den, and I really like this thing. I think it's got a nice post-apocalyptic vibe, but it's also kind of cozy at the same time. Little bits of colour and plants and stuff around just to dress it up, and it contrasts with the brown background as well. So it works quite nicely there. And I've locked the door, keep the Yasmin out, and also because my Collectron has a habit of wandering in here as well. The cool thing about this prefab is it really will sink down a lot better than some of the other ones will, which is quite nice. As long as you're on flat enough ground anyway, the stairs will get really close and you won't see too much of the concrete base, which is quite cool. Definitely like this. Of course, the curved walls, let's just close that door and make sure the Collectron doesn't follow me in. The curved walls do present a slight issue. And that obviously is that you can't put much in the way of wall decoration on. And sort of the upper part of the kitchen set couldn't go in either. Not too bothered about that really, but obviously it wasn't going to work with the curved wall either. Having this kitchen set really does make me look at the improvised options we have available and some of the other sets. And in this place, because it's a bit cozier, I wanted a kind of proper kitchen rather than just kind of shoehorning in something improvised. So that's what I went for. It's a little on the clean side really for this place, but otherwise it works alright. Use the flamethrower trap to allow me to get the chairs a little bit closer to the table there, which I do like the look of, although it does present the slight issue of your allies climbing through the solid object in order to get at the chair sometimes, but it does look better that way. Not really much in the way of floor decoration in here. In terms of rugs and things, I've used the same one repeatedly, which I'm kind of thinking maybe I should use a different one. Yeah. But the floor is just kind of plain underneath, so it's nice to put a little bit of coziness down. Cozy little bed in the corner. In hindsight, maybe I should have done something other than the sheep squatch plushie, as he's kind of now facing directly into that screen, which I felt putting a screen up to kind of screen off the bed area was not a bad play. But yeah, all in all, nice and cozy. Use a little bit of the merge glitch to get a few things in. Let me sink the toilet down a bit further outside and put some stuff on shelves and stuff, and I quite like the look. Gone for the old cage lights, as they kind of sit on the ceiling in here quite nicely. They'll run down the centre, and I do like the lighting they put out. It's a little bit more organic. Little snap together sofa set there works quite nicely in the corner because the size and shape of this thing is just a little bit odd compared to some of the furniture, so that allows you to customise a little bit more. And I quite like it. It's nice to use that once in a while as well. Does the job. And there we go. So in this corner, I didn't really know what to do once I put the collectron in. Just tucked it in the corner there, and there was a surprisingly large amount of space left over. So we've got a Radstag station for keeping myself fed with. I used a flamethrower trap again to destroy that so that I could drop the tanning station, well, sort of the decoration item there, underneath the actual frame that the Radstag's on, as it won't go underneath unless you do that, because collision boxes and things, even though there's apparently space there. But yeah, flamethrower solved that quite easily. A couple of bits of decoration there just to keep the collectron repaired as and when you need to. And I haven't really put much of a shooting range in before in any of my camps, but I decided to, as I spotted those targets, or why not, as I got a bit of dead space there, put a barbed wire fence in there just to partition it off a little bit from the rest of the camp because it felt a bit neater that way. And there we go. I do like using that tent over the top of the crafting space. It really came out quite nicely. It's from the Beast of Burden event, incidentally, if you want to pick that one up. And yeah, it's not the most practical thing. You really do need flat ground, otherwise you end up with bits floating. And you'll have to do a lot of blueprinting to put furniture underneath it sometimes, but needed some kind of cover over the top of the crafting space, I felt, and the bright blue Voltec one is a little too clean. So yeah, all in all, quite happy with the look there. It looks quite good. There's one little area outside where it's technically not touching the ground, but it's outside and you don't really see it anyway, so. We can't have everything, I suppose, but all in all, I do quite like. It's quite a cosy place in sort of little bits of this, and very practical, and lots of colour with style. I really do like the way that crafting area has come out as well. And yeah, all in all, I'm rather happy with this little camp. So there we go. WIldwood Den and a few other bits and pieces to make a nice little fortified player home, which really gives that sort of wasteland vibe. And it's, yeah, quite cosy and homely, I think. So I hope you folks enjoyed that one. If you did, please do consider dropping subs and likes. I very, very much appreciate. Social media links, merch store, and channel memberships all available down below the video as well if you want to support the channel that way. Massively, massively appreciate that. It really helps out. Huge thank you to everyone who's done that as well. And if you get a chance, join us for live streams. We are, of course, playing Fallout 76. Maybe a short break on that, because I've just reached the end of the season, and we've got a couple of weeks until the next one kicks off. But we're also playing Nightingale and Enshrouded at the minute as well, which are a couple of survival games with some fun base building mechanics. So if you're interested in checking out some alternative options for the building side of things, strongly recommend checking those games out. I'm having a lot of fun playing them at the moment as well, so do join us for that. But for now, thank you very much for watching. I look forward to speaking to you all very, very soon.